record I will record just in case people arrive late and want to see the session. So I did my presentation. Maybe Jessa, if you want to do like a brief presentation.
Okay, hello, I'm Jessa Marica Abay. I am the Senior Program Officer of C3 Philippines. I'm based in the Philippines. C3 stands for Community-Centered Conservation. And in one of our projects, SFP is one of our consortium partner, I think, a representative from SFP. I am based in Philippines, Palawan, but currently I'm in Indonesia right now. And what else? We have a project on RSS. That's why I think I need to attend this session with you to learn more. So that's it. Nice meeting you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Now, Carl, if you want.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Carl Pregon. I was with SFP I think a year ago with Miss Becky and the team. So I was the bioengagement specialist for South Negros during the time implementing the SHARE project. And then currently I'm in Silliman as well. So instructor still
Thank you, Carl. So we didn't met before in the SFP calls, but and Munin.
Hi, I'm Moon. I work with Patricia since 2019 as a fisheries analyst. So this is my third iteration with SFP. And Carl, I'm here in Seliman also. I'm in Dumaguete. So I just traveled yesterday it's a Founders Day for Seliman, and I'm a Selimanian. So we celebrated the outstanding Selimanian alumni ceremony yesterday, and so I joined as an audience, not the awardee. So I'm going to the Marine Lab tomorrow. So I don't know, are you based in Marine Lab, at the Marine Lab, Carl?
yes, po, but currently I'm not in Magete.
Okay.
Nasa Manila.
So yeah. So you're in Manila, I'm in Dumaguete. But I'm based in Cebu, basically. So
Hey, thanks for coming and attending this workshop. So the goal is to present a little bit the Fishsource and the new draft methodology that we are developing for data limited of fishers that are not assessed. I think the goal, Pedro Ferreiro asked me to train a little bit you in the Fishsource and the new methodology to present, and you will try to apply that new methodology to some profiles that we will assign to you. And next Friday we can discuss what were the main issues, the difficulties, if makes sense, if not. So we had already a first draft that I will explain, and Munin already applies 2 years ago already, or one year or something. I met two already. So
in
we changed a
2020,
little bit. Yeah, we did some analysis with the Fishsource database that we changed a little bit. So and I would like to try and piloting this new version to see if it makes sense or not. Well, we have two other persons here. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear us?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So
I was waiting at Google Meet.
yeah, we were doing some brief presentations from introduction from ourselves. I'm Patricia Amorim from Portugal. I worked with Fishsource team for a long time, more than 10 years. And now I will present some an introduction to Fishsource and the new methodology that is intended to apply in the next days. I'm based in Portugal, and yeah, you can present. I think the other colleagues already did a brief presentation. If you want to present it. I don't know, Precious, can you speak now or maybe later?
Yeah.
Okay,
Hello.
nice to meet you.
Hi.
Are the others done?
Yes.
Yeah,
Only me. Okay. Sorry for me. Yeah.
don't worry.
So I'm Precious. I'm from the University of the Philippines, Visayas, here in Central Philippines. So I'm a university research associate, and I work on fish stock assessment, ecological studies, coral reefs, those kinds of things. So,
Okay.
and Sir Jerry is here also.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Jerry is a colleague from the university also.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jerry. Sorry, I was late because I thought it was also in Google Meet.
Okay.
I'm an assistant professor of the Institute of Marine Fisheries and Oceanology in the College of Fisheries and Ocean Sciences. And I'm tasked to specialize on fish stock assessment. And my previous research work is on reproductive biology of crab species in our region. And I intend to focus more on stock assessment of commercially important species in the Philippines. It's nice meeting you all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and thanks for joining this section. So let me see if I can share the screen. Screen two. I don't know. Can you see my full screen?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
it's okay. So my name Patricia Amorim. You have my email address if you want to send any message, but I think you already have from the other previous message. So the intent today is to do like the introduction to Fishsource, also introduce the new draft methodology that we are developing for non-assessed fisheries. We'll explain the tasks that are expected to be done this week, and also the fishers selected or we apply the new methodology. So I'm not sure if you are familiar or not with the Fishsource, that website. I know that some of you are already using. So I will do like a brief presentation. So Fishsource is an online database that is free to access and compiles and summarizes scientific and technical information about the status of fisheries and stocks. We base our summaries in public available data and science that is produced by the several entities. We do like quick and impartial assessments and try that those could be easily interpretable by everyone, people that are related with the fisheries, people that seafood buyers, people more from the industry, not focusing science persons. So we have like an open and transparent commenting section that everyone would suggest that something is not well written or something is a gap in information there. So people can also do those comments directly in Fishsource in terms to with the goal that we improve the information that we have there. So we have been focused more in features that are interest for our partners. So the objective is to have like actionable information for generate sustainability of the on sustainability of seafood stocks and fisheries. And also to highlight what are the improvements that need to be taken to that fishery becomes more sustainable. This is the landing page of the Fishsource. Fishsource was created in 2007 by the Sustainable Fishers Partnership. In 2018, we also start to include aquaculture sources. So we have some profiles from aquaculture resources. And the Fishsource users now have like a more robust tool that covers all types of seafood production with the wild profiles and aquaculture. So we can in this landing page, we can, for example, in this search box, we include the common name, the scientific name of the species, the local name, or just search by the country or by gear, and we get like a full list of profiles. We also can see what are the most recent profiles that were updated. In that case, they are open for review. Some profiles that sometimes we develop, but we have just the shell profile, but the content it was not developed. But sometimes is important to have to generate interest from people to try to complement that information. And also you can see the most recently viewed profiles. And here in the search, if you, for example, if you include the Sardinella here in the search, a full list of profiles will appear, and then you can click in this arrow and we'll see for this Bali Sardinella in Philippines, we have like 3 fisheries, and fisheries here are distinct by gear. We have the gill nets, encircle gill nets or porcines. But you can also filter here by the fishing gear of flag or management or seafood sector. So it's very easy to navigate in this web page. And you can move from wild profiles from aquaculture. As source, I think for Philippines, we don't have aquaculture profiles for now. And you can also move the view, change the view. And if you click here, you can change for the map view. And for example, you can zoom in or zoom out. And for example, here you have 4 profiles. And if you zoom in, you can see one, okay, is blue swimming crab, Philippines, general one. And if you click here, you will get more details. And you can also filter by roundtable. Some organizations for that we have some work support to like organization of the supply chain for several groups. That could be very useful. And for example, here you can also find information how Fishsource works, more detailed information. And yeah, you have all these DDLs that you can search. So for example, how profile structure or how profiles are defined in Fishsource. Some profiles are based in the biologic stock. That is one of the things that distinguish Fishsource from other approach. We always try to find if in this case, a species is based in a biologic, so the top node will be the biologic stock, if there is information. If there is no information about the biologic stock, that structure is unknown, we define the profiles based on the assessment unit. But sometimes even the assessment, many people, the features are not assessed, so we need to define our profile based on resources. For example, we have the green mussel in China that we don't know the biologic structure. There is no assessment, so we will define the resource, this profile as a resource. Each profile is based in a single species, but there is some cases where a profile represents a multi-species. And we have some profiles for Philippines that we have the NaF or multi-species approach because it's very difficult to distinguish in the fishery the different species. I think one of the examples are the scads NaF. This is one of the examples. How Fishsource defines what is a fishery. So we have a fishery is the combination of a flag country with a fishing gear operating in the management unit, open a resource. For example, here we have a profile and we have several fisheries. For example, for this combination, we have a fishery, but here we have another fishery with another flag country and another fishing gear. And here also, for example, a species that is evaluated or have like two assessment units. For example, Philippines assess like a species, like a squid, but the same squid is evaluated by other country nearby, Thailand or something. So you will have like another fishery, even if they are the same biologic stock. From the source page, you can we select a specific profile, and for example, we have like the Bali Sardinella is based in an assessment unit because the stock unit is not clear known. So, and we have like different fisheries. Each one of these box is a different fishery, different in this case different gears use it. So we can present information as in the top node for all the assessment unit. But imagine we can have like information very detailed for Indonesia, Danish seines. And if you click in this box, you will get information just for specific, if there is. In some cases, we don't go very specific in the updates or the level of the information that we have available. But for some profiles, we have that level of information very detailed. So you can choose, you can see like an overall picture of the profile, or if you want to get more detailed information. Usually you need to be registered to see the full information of the profile. I think this page is still visible, but to scroll down and to see all these components, you need to register. It's completely free. It's just a matter we know better what kind of persons go more or search more in our website. It's more academic persons, more industry persons, more NGO. So, but it's completely free. So if you go in the summary tab, you have the identification, the summary. We have the identification of the species, the scientific name, the species name, common use it, or the common names locally use it. You have the picture of the species, you have the management entities, the assessment entities, you have like a brief description of the species and how the profile was defined, and you have like a general map also. In the summer, we also have the strength and weakness of the profile. You can see a resume of the scores that we have for the profile. And we have the main recommendations that are given for that profile. A summary of the FIPS associated with this fishery, and the certifications. Also is identified the sector and the round tables. I'm not sure if you are familiar with concept of the FIPS, is the Fish and Improvement Projects. Usually are specific projects that are developed by people, the stakeholders involved in the fishery, in a way to improve something in the fishery. Imagine that they have like bycatch problems or it's a stock problem, so they try to fix those problems in like an organized way. And they have like a working plan, and the way they have like steps to follow to try to move and improve the sustainability of the fishery. In this second tab, the fisheries, is provided a table that helps the reader to understand the organization of the profile. For example, in the case of albacore South Pacific, it's very complex profile, and with a lot of fleets, and flag countries target this species. But for example, we have like a biologic stock, but we know that we have at least 2 management units. We have 2 RFMOs managing the profile, with different countries responding to each management unit. So sometimes the fisheries is very useful to understand how the fishery is managed, and to understand this. Not always easy to find or to understand the structure of the fishery. So in the analysis tab, so is the main narrative and the content of the profile. So here in Fishsource, we focus in 3 main areas: the stock status, the management quality, and the environment and biodiversity areas. And for example, the stock status, we have we focus in the sections with stock assessment, where we do like a description of the stock assessment, what is the scientific advice, the current status of the fishery. In the management quality sections, we describe how is done the management, what are the main measures, and how is the compliance for those measures, management measures. In the environmental biodiversity, we focus in the impacts of the fishery in bycatch and of many species, the ETP interactions, the possible impacts of or not of the fishery in the habitat and in the ecosystem. For some, this is the perfect development of the profile. We have all the narratives, and then we have the scores. But for now, we are also doing some quick updates, and that we base it on the scores, and we have the strengths and weaknesses, all the summary, but we avoid to develop these narratives because they are very time consuming, and it's difficult to have all the years this information updated. So for some profiles, we have just the scores and the justification for the scores. So these narratives are not developed. But for most of the profiles, we still have these sections, and here you can see when they were last updated. Imagine sometimes we update the stock status and management, but for sometimes the environment we just update every 3 years or every 4 years. So it's not so frequent because it's not expect the information change so frequently also. So in terms of scores, you can see what are the here we quantify the main pillars of sustainability. We have the management quality, and we evaluate the management strategy, the manager's compliance, and the fisher's compliance. We have other pillar is the stock health, where we analyze the current health and the future health of the stock. And we also evaluate the environmental impacts of the stock. This is a new scoring that we started a few years ago. We are presenting now in Fishsource, but just a few fisheries, not all fisheries have this scoring. For today, we'll focus more in the management and stock health, because the environmental methodology always just already covers the data limited or non-assessed fisheries. So if you have like very limited information, that is already evaluated in this course. Now we are changing our qualitative approach to include that in farm management and stock health. And as we say, for our Fishsource course, we can have like quantitative and qualitative approach. Qualitative, usually our scores range from 0 to 10, and these quantitative scores are based on ratios. For example, if you have like SSP in relation to the SSP limit, or for example, if you have the advice TAC in relation to the set tag. So it's easy to calculate it by our algorithm, the quantitative scores. But for most of the fisheries, we are now producing qualitative information. And here we have usually a range because it's more uncertain, the scoring. So we have like less than 6, higher than 6, and higher than 8. And these ranges are more or less equivalent to MSc, that has like a range until 60, 60, 80, and higher than 80. And then we have, usually for qualitative scoring, we put the information in the year that we are doing the evaluation. For example, if you are doing now in 2023, we'll put the scores here. But if it is like just a quantitative information, we just base it in information that is collected. For example, if you have landings data just until 2001, you just put the information until 2021. So if it is available, we collect time series data of spawning biomass, landings, F values, advices or set TAC, the catch limits. So this is our default approach. But if not possible, we have to develop this qualitative approach. So there is no quantitative data, but there is some information that we can use. And here, for example, is from the data file that we compile information, we can see and produce these graphics with a lot of time series data. For example, we have biomass. It's a long time series since the 60s, and you can see how the resource has been evolution. in relation to the reference points that were defined by the stock assessments. We just collect the information. Here we can see the catch data. For example, catch is a blue line in relation to the advised and the set TAC. And in this bottom graph, you can see also the evolution of the fishing mortality in relation to the F management target. Or if you have like a F at low biomass defined, we can also include here in our time series data. Fishsource also compiles information on MSC, for example, the profile. And here we have, for example, Atlantic cod, Barents Sea, and you can do this drop-down list. You can check the different certifications that are associated with the fishery. Here we compile information about the FIPS that are related also with the fishery. And as I told you at the beginning, you have this comment section that anyone can come and comment and just point that something is not very completed or something, and provide new sources of documents that could be not easily available to the Fishsource team. As I told you, aquaculture profiles are more or less the same, that in terms of visual output than the wild profiles, but we use usually a different color. Here we use the green instead of blue. And profiles are a little bit organized in a different way. You have here the province and states that is the management areas that usually are used for the aquaculture. And instead of the analysis, we also have the background section. Here, analyses are more focused in the information sources and different aspects of the management, and also the industry management and performance. Yeah, you can see here the scores related with the aquaculture. And for example, the section of the scores are organized in a different way. You have the score and the justification for each. You have like sub-scores, in this case, information, management content, and management enforcement. And you can give like different sub-scores that will produce a general score. And we have like a space to include the justification. But this is just a curiosity, because we are not focused on too much today in the aquaculture part. So in terms of coverage, Fishsource today has almost 2,000 profiles, 1,700, almost 800 profiles, and this represents more than 5,000 fisheries. At least almost 67% of the fisheries have information, because not all profiles have information, but they are important, since we have some suppliers reporting for those fisheries in the metric system. So there is important we report the existence of this fishery, and maybe it may generate interest to know more about its status, and that profile could be developed in future, if not already done. So, but at least almost 7% of the fish has some kind of information, like in terms of stock status, or could be like a full profile developed, or just to have like environmental scores, depending also the the goals and the main issues of the fisheries. So we are a small team that works with the external contractors, sometimes with local experts. The frequency of the updates, it's not regular. Some profiles are updated every year, and some are even updated twice a year. For example, if you have like a stock assessment that is in a different date that the TAC is released, so we need to try to have those profiles the most updated possible. But there are other features that we are update just more sparsely, depending of the interest of our partners and the project's outcomes. In terms of aquaculture profiles, you have at least 25 aquaculture units in a Fishsource that covers more or less 81 regions or provinces or sub-areas. This information is, I think, is updated every 2 years or something, because it's not expected to change every year as we have in fisheries. So the process is more slow. So we have less profiles now, but and they are also updated less frequent. Here you can see in the map the localization of the most of the profiles that we have. In Fishsource. In terms of Philippines, we have about 32 wild profiles developed that represents more than 100 fisheries already. Most of them are almost 50% are small pelagics like Bali sardinella, scads, mackerel species. But we also have a larger group of 25% of other species like the scallop and things like that. We have also the cephalopods, octopus and the squid species. We have snapper and grouper, I think it's grouper more, and we have the swimming crab and tuna profiles. One of the main outputs of the Fishsource is the metric system. Let me check the time. Where the combination of the Fishsource scores are translated in a risk rating. And you can see like, and we have like a color rating. If it is red, it's not okay. If it is orange, it's more or less. If it is green, it's the resource is okay. So, but this rating is not like a eco-label or certification scheme. The main goal of this metric system is to help the suppliers and buyers in the identification of the main problems of the fishery, and consequently develop actions to improve those aspects in the fisheries that are not so good. So we have several dashboards with analysis, and also those allows the suppliers and partners generate reports on their fisheries. So it's like a tool to support the suppliers and the buyers to understand how their fisheries are performing. So another program that Sustainable Fishery has is the Target 75 initiative. It's like a project that we have that allow us to monitoring or continue monitoring over the years how are the sustainability of the main sectors. We have this initiative since 2015, but now we are in a new phase until 2025, and we focus in 13 sectors, wild and farm production. And the goal is for SFP is to have 75% of the global volume of seafood produced as sustainable or at least improving. And we do like an annual report that can that allow us to understand how is the overall status of the fisheries, what is the volume that is sustainable or improving or not improving. And we can compare several years now already. And I think 2023 is being done now, this analysis. So maybe early next year it will be available. But you also can select here by sector in specific. It's like we have like this public tableau analysis that everyone can consult and do and play a little bit with those filters. And here, for example, is if you go to the sustainablefishers.org page, you can find the last target 75 sector status, now based on the 2022 results. And here you have different dashboards. You can see by map, and you can just play for a sector. Imagine that you are just focusing on snappers or squids. Imagine that we have like just a specific species, and you can have like this map view or this production in terms of general production maps. So I think it's a very visual tool that has been developed over the years by our colleague, Pedro Veiga, and I think it's very useful for people to get familiar with all of this data. And our analyses are based on the production data that is released every year by FAO. So, but then you can have an idea how much is certified, how much is in the fisher improvement projects and things like that. And by country and by species. So it's very completed tool. So in general, Fishsource is an online database to support improvements in the fisheries or in aquaculture in that case. So it's like we do like a summary of that the fishery. We highlight some improvements that needs to be made, and SRs and FIBs produce new information or work to try to improve the fisheries, and then we try to update again that information in our website, and then it's like a circular way to improve the fisheries and to provide information to the public, all the changes that have been made and all the improvements that have been made. So we are focused mainly in market demand. So it's very challenging keeping profiles up to date and expanding coverage. It's always a balance, the number of profiles that we do every year, and try to balance with the team that we have available. It's impossible to have like more or less 2,000 profiles updated every year. So we need to have some priorities. We are developing new methodologies as the one that we are will focus in the next slides. The data limit or non-assessed fisheries is one of those. But we are also working with developing scorings for co-management and socioeconomic scores that will be also soon available in Fishsource. Maybe we can pause a little bit now, and if you have any questions about the Fishsource now. before I start with the data limit scoring. I'm not seeing the participants. I don't know if you have any questions, just jump and mute yourselves and
so far.
checking. Okay.
And nothing from me also.
So let's,
Just a quick question, Patricia.
yeah.
Yeah. All this information that's already on the website, who were the people who gathered, or where did you get all of this data so far?
Depending a lot of the profiles that we are updating. For example, if it is more Europe-based profiles, the analysts search for example, ICs is one of the main agencies that provide the stock assessments. For example, for Philippines, sometimes we have local experts. For example, Monin already worked for us in the past. But the information needs to be public. If not public, we can, at the end, if we collect information from a specific agency or governmental agency, we need to put information public at the end. Sometimes we use like local experts, sometimes it's our analysts that are already very trained, and they get information from the desktop research and compiled information like from papers, from the gray literature sometimes, but at the end, the information that we put in Fishsource needs to be, if not public already, needs to be public. We put that information, and the source that we use are identified in the Fishsource. For example, we have here in the sections with the narrative. So these blue sources, it's like our reference from the text need to be like a reference in Zotero or a link or something that we can, if people click here in this link, appears the web address where they can see all the full reference to be consulted.
All right. Thank you. I just saw it in the website.
Okay. Yeah, it's a lot to explore.
There's a lot of good information here.
Yeah, of course, some profiles we update every year. It's more updated. Some we have the date here that makes the reference, and some profiles are already very old. For example, we develop it based in a specific project or a grant that was interested in a fishery, but then no one has like a great, or because it's a smaller fishery or there is no big impact, so it's not updating since 2016 or something. But usually we have the dates associated with in the profile to help the reader understand if information is updated or not. Any other questions? Well, if not, we can move to the most hard part of the today. So I will try to present our qualitative assessment method for scoring non-assessed fisheries. And in this figure, you can see the total landings by country that have stock assessment that are showing in the dark blue. For example, here you can see in tropical areas and Asian countries, we have a lot of volumes landings that are not assessed here in the light green circles. So this is a map from, I think, RAM's legacy stock assessment database that provides this information. And we, usually European countries, North America, even Peru and Chile have like a good coverage of their fisheries that are assessed, but a lot of fisheries that have no stock assessment. And the fisheries that have no stock assessment, we can see in the previous map that are associated fisheries that have or they are developed in underdeveloped countries where there is a scarcity of human capacity, or it's difficult or very high cost of collecting data, and there is no information about the biologic stocks on the exploitation status. Some of those countries, they have like management deficiencies. But in some case, some of the fisheries that are not assessed there is no interest or, on those fisheries to understand their status, and doesn't mean that those fisheries are in bad status or over expressing overfishing or things like that. So there is no interest to develop quantitative assessments and reliable estimates of the stocks. And because we know that stock assessments are very expensive to develop and time consuming, and not all the governments have the same investment on those. So, and sometimes this lack of knowledge even complicates more the management of those resources. So a scoring system is crucial for non-assessed of small-scale fisheries, but not only just small scales, but they are more often small-scale fisheries, where advanced and traditional stock assessments methods are not being undertaken yet. And the Fishsource, we have two scoring systems. Despite the lack of direct scientific evidence, several informative clues about the relative and approximate degree of sustainability of a fishery can be gleaned from other sources. So we have the scoring system. If the information is available, we follow quantitative scoring. If not, we focus in the qualitative scoring. And that's the one that we are focused today. We start to revising our qualitative approach, but because we knew that there are some gaps and issues that we need to be resolved. So we try to develop a first approach in 2021, and we did some pilot testing already with the USA project that funding that project, and we pilot in some Philippine fisheries. But we feel that some of the thresholds, the information that we provide there needed some validation process. So we start doing some analysis. We had like an external consultant more specific for the statistical side of things. And we produce again a new version of this method that we would like to test again. And we have I think this is what the version that I provide and share with you. So Fishsource scoring system we call it scores before that we had like 3 levels. Now we are changing the terminology a little bit. Now we call it like the criteria, and we have 4 levels of scoring. And we have based it in the same approach that we have before. Criteria 1 is the harvest management strategy precautionary. Criteria 2 analyze if the managers follow scientific advice. Here for criteria 3, it was before if fishers comply. Now we change a little bit the question if does illegal and reporting fishing undermine the intent of stock or assessment unit management. And we can dig a little bit more on this. And for stock health, we keep the same criteria. Is the stock health and the criteria 5, will the stock be healthy in the future? So the levels of scoring are in range to represent a little bit the uncertainty associated with these qualitative scores. Here, for example, in score 1 is the harvest management strategy precautionary. We can follow this decision table, decision tree. If we start to ask in the analyst if they are quantitative estimates of management removal rates, so what is the scientific advice removal rate. If you have this information, we follow a quantitative approach. If not, then we follow the qualitative approach. And then we start to ask at the beginning if there is legislation or if there is a collection program, data collection program. If no, it evaluates very low, like less than 4. If there is, we ask if there is like a management plan in place, if it is precautionary. If there is no management plan, but imagine that there are some management measures in place, like a minimum landing size or things like that. So you can go by navigate through this decision tree, and then at the end you will reach one of these scorings. We need to consider it if the management sometimes could be at level of RFMO, for example, if it is like a tuna species. Sometimes it's a national level, but sometimes, for example, in Philippines, you have a lot of management is based on the fisheries management areas, FMAs. For example, criteria 2, do managers follow scientific advice? And for example, if there are catch limits in place, and if there is like a scientific advice catch limit, we can evaluate this scoring quantitative. But most of the fishers don't have that information, or can have like a TSC, but not a scientific advice, or can you have like a scientific advised catch limit, but it's not set by the management yet. So in that case, you need to follow like a qualitative approach also. And we can see if the managers take a look to the long term are more likely to follow scientific advice. If there is no scientific advice, and because if there is no scientific advice, cannot be an excuse from the manager do not follow. So we did like the questions. If there is no advice, there is something that at least the managers provide to the scientists to provide that advice. So there is an institutional place to provide that advice. If there is not at least that, you will score very bad also. But if you can see, if there is a collection program, it's like annual reporting. So you can see that the managers are doing something. But if, for example, if they are avoiding one of the scientific recommendations, will not get the higher scoring. For the criteria 3, we change a little bit more. And now, because sometimes we have like this criteria 3, if the fishers comply, more, you can have like at the top level, like if you can see if the fisheries, imagine that we have a resource that, for example, the fleet with porcine is very complied with TAC, but the fishery, the same with the troll is not, imagine that they have a specific TAC for the troll and they are not complying with that. In that case, you can go very deep on the in the tail of scoring. But now we are just focusing this criterion 3 at the, if we see that there is something in the behavior of the fishermen that could compromise the management of the fishery or the assessment unit. Okay, if they have impacts the end in the stock status. And okay, if you have like quantitative information, imagine that you have the value of landings in relation to the TAC, you can see, okay, you can follow a quantitative approach. But if it is like, even if you have that information, but there is like an indication that the fisher could be suffering of illegal or unreported catch, we need to override that quantitative approach and follow these criteria for qualitative. And this can give us an idea if there is like unreported catches or people are catching in a MPA, the closed area, something like that, or outside the closed area season or something. So so we should focus in the impact in the resource. Of course, if it is like an open fishery without any regulation, imagine that there is no registration of the fleet, there is no TSC, anyone can fisher there without any regulation. It's very rare to have that situation. At least vessels should be registered. But in some cases, there are some fishers that are completely open access. So if it is like completely open access, we will not score this criteria 3. If not, we should follow this decision 3. Now in decision 4, criteria 4, if it is stock healthy, we did a lot of change from the previous version. And we are basing our decision 3 into main decision trees. One of those, it was based on Fishsource database analysis. And we try to predict we would like to use our landings time series, that usually is the catch data that we have more available, to be indicative of biomass change. So we did like a regression modeling between delta landings and delta biomass. And delta landings and delta biomass is the difference of landings this year with the year before, and we work with several range of years that we call it like legs, and horizon effects. We also sum that effect of summing the delta of change in biomass, of catch that could be produced change in biomass. So we have the Fishsource database. It's a lot of records. We have more than 600 stocks that we had like biomass and landings time series. we divide our analysis and the life based on the life history. For example, we consider long-lived species and short-lived. For short-lived is long-lived is higher than 5 years, and we also split our group of the analysis and fishes that are managed, have TSC or not focus on or have no TSC. So it's a lot of computing and regression and Monte Carlo analysis. So and then at the end we have like a decision tables that give us the 50% probability of being overfished or not overfished based on our analysis. So we standardize by max. I will not enter in details in this methodology, but at the end we have a template in a spreadsheet. If you can put our time series of landings, that calculates all the process. And here you can see all the analysis that we did with the database and how we did produce these decision tables that, okay, if you have like a change in landings, what is expected the biomass change, and that will give you a risk. Okay, here you have all the details, but not needed for the analysts. It's just something that we put here to support our decision tree. So this is the decision at the end that you can follow. If you have like a time series of landings data, at least you need to know if it is a short-lived species and if it is under TAC or not, if they have a total allowable catch established by the government or not, or if imagine if it's a long-lived species, so you will follow this part. And imagine if you have like landings have been fallen between 20%, 25 and 20% in the last 5 to 6 years. So there is 50% of chance that stock biomass has fallen between 60% and 200% in the past 5 to 6 years. So in this case, if you reach this, for example, you should scoring as between 4 and 6. But imagine that you have landings have risen more than 25% in the last 5 to 6 years. So there is a 50% chance to have a stock biomass has increased more than almost 2000% in the last 5 to 6 years. So in that case, we'll give a higher than 8 score. This is the decision with the summary, but don't worry, you just need to follow our spreadsheet supporting documents that will provide you, and you just need to follow the spreadsheet with it. If it is like TSC long-lived, this is short-lived with TSC or not TSC. And one of the things that we did the analysis, for example, you need to see if the range of the landings applies, because these decision tables were based on information from profiles that have like landings ranging between 0 and 8,000 and 8,500 tons, 1,000 tons. So if your series is in this range, so you can apply. And the only thing that you need to change are the green cells. Here you can put the first year of data that we have the time series, and you can put the catch values in 1,000 tons. And if not needed, for example, if you have like just data, if you have more rows that you need, you just can delete those rows without changing the rest. So everything will be calculated. So here we have the average, you have the average or median. Usually you just needed to look to these scores, 6 to 8, or here is based on the average or median. Usually they are consistent, but if there is an sometimes a median could be more drastic. Imagine it could be a 4 to 6, so you need to follow a more precautionary, maybe choose the lowest score. But yeah, it seems complicated, but if you just fill these two columns, you'll get this scoring automatically. So yeah, the formulas are in the template that we'll provide you. For criteria 4, besides this one, the decision table that was developed based on the analysis of our database, there is also a decision tree that is based in Cope and Pound paper that is only applied to long-lived stocks. And at the end, if you have like, it's like we have also a template, so don't worry. You just need to be aware that there are different types of the selectivity. This is based on the proportion of the mature species, the optimal proportion of sizes, and the mega spawner. So you can read the paper if you want to be more aware of all. But if you at the end you get a spawn biomass less than reference point, so you will score less than 6. If it is higher, so it will be higher than 6. So here we just have two levels, less than 6, higher than 6, higher or equal to 6, and less than 6. But this is just applied for long-lived stocks and requires that we have like a length composition data. And sometimes it's not possible to have this information. So if you don't have length composition, length frequency data, so you just will use the Fishsource analysis. If you have like land composition data, you can also apply this decision. You just need to complete here this template and try to find the local values that you have for the L mature or L max for that species, and this calculation will be done automatically. And if you have like the proportion for the objective proportion for the decision tree, you can apply and follow the decision that I showed you in the slide, in the previous slide. But I think probably for the most of the profiles that will work in Philippines, maybe you don't have the length frequency data. If you have like conflicting information that comes from the different analysis or the different spreadsheets, imagine that we have a Fishsource database, that you have higher scores, and the length database result in a lower scores. So in that case, we should harmonize the final score between 4 and 6 to be more precautionary, because we are different results from different sources. Imagine that we have like Fishsource database scorings that are very low, but length base is also showing higher scores. So this approach is the same. This choose like a more precautionary scoring. If they have like similar results, okay, in that case, we should use the Fishsource database scores, because they have more granularity and could be more informative. Because here length base is just higher than 6 or less than 6. So here we have more detail that can be used. For criteria 5, will the stock be healthy in the future? So we use the same approach than we use in the Fishsource database analysis, but before landings being as indicative of the biomass change, in this case, we analyze the change in landings could be indicative of change in F. We use the same approach, divide short-lived and long-lived, and TSC and no TSC fisheries. And we produce the same decision tables with 50% probability to get an F value with the based on landings. And for that, we should use this template, criterion 5, decision tables, landings to F. Here is the decision tree that at the end we will follow. Imagine that if you have like a landings have not changed or fallen up to 75% in the last 1-2 years. So for short-lived species with no TSC, we'll get 50% chance of that fish mortality has not changed or decreased. So but the decision tree is different for short-lived, long-lived, TSC, no TSC. But once again, we have here summarized the comprehensive decision tree, but we have these supporting spreadsheets. I think I didn't update the header, but if you put the information about the year and the catch, all the analyses are done by the algorithm, and you will get the score that you should use here and put in the tables. Well, this is more dense. I don't know if you have any questions. I know that it seems a little bit more complicated. I don't know if you have already time to read the guidance that we provide, but a lot of the methodology that we include in the guidance, you don't need to be worried because it seems very complex or very statistical, but we provide the spreadsheets that you can just put the landing time series and the scoring will be automatically provided for you. Just in case you want to be more aware what was the process to calculate those scorings, you need to understand a little bit or more, if you want, from the method that we developed. I don't know if you have questions. If not, we can see. If you have, just jump, don't worry. Okay, thank you, Jess. So these are the tasks description for this week. So we provide the guidance and we have like this introductory workshop. And today I will provide the Fishsource profile for each of you. We select one fishery and then you can try to apply. And one of the intents is because some of the profiles were updated 2 years ago. If you can spend some hours to try to understand if the profile needs to be updated with more current information. Imagine that at least for catch data, we should find more recent information to complete that information. We have also I will show you the template that I will provide for each of the profiles, because you could do the update directly in Fishsource backend, but we thought it's maybe too much to do and to learn in today's. So we'll provide the current content of the Fishsource profile to you in a Word document. with the track change, you can try to update with most recent information, and maybe it's the other day you try to perform the qualitative scoring, and try to submit to the Fishsource team, and also a resume about what you think about the method by the end of Thursday, 31st of August. So in that case, I will have time to prepare something for us to discuss next Friday. So do you think that is feasible for everyone? Are you available this week? Okay, so in my
Yes.
afternoon, yeah, please go ahead.
No, I just said yes.
Okay, yeah. Today in my afternoon, I'll prepare the Word documents, and then I will send for each of you in separate emails. But for example, the spreadsheet, maybe I will send the general email because it's the same for everyone. But the respective profiles I will send for each of you. So tomorrow you can start doing the updates, whatever as you wanted. So we will have like the profile narrative to be updated and profile data file. It's like the Excel spreadsheet where you can complete the landings and things like that. And you will have like a copy of the supporting spreadsheet where you can include the catch or the lame data if needed to calculate the scores. Because in the profile narrative at the end we'll give you like a table, then you can put the scores that are calculated and the justification for that. And I will also provide the general guidance for Fishsource analysts. This is a very comprehensive guidance that we have. You don't need to read everything. Of course, we will not have time. But if you have like some questions or we are not sure what to include in the narrative, maybe you can just check what okay, in this section we should focus on more on this or more on that. So usually is used for our analysts that work with Fishsource, but could be useful also for you. So I provide to I ask to the Fishsource not the SFP team in Philippines, if someone from you would like to work more with one of the species. Imagine that some of you are more specialized in one of the fisheries or Sardinella, so you could change these profiles. But I didn't receive feedback, so at the end I choose the fisheries like this. But I'm not sure if you have any comments or if you want to suggest any change now. Imagine that if you work like a grouper, maybe we can change the grouper for that person more specific, then because you know more the sources to go there. But just let us know if we should change.
I'm good with mine.
Sorry?
I'm good with this.
Okay. Groupers for you.
Yeah.
Okay. And Monine is the only one that has two species. I think she already worked with the profiles some years ago, so maybe she's more familiar with the method also. So we will work with two species. I don't know if it is too much until the end of the week, but it's not like a full update because you will just to see, or if you don't have time to dig a little bit or too much time in the the update of profile, please save more time and apply the method to the current information that you have in the profile. If you have
Okay,
time to do the update, that will be great and very useful for us. If not, the most important is try to apply the methodology and give us like a brief summary of what do you think about the methodology. If it is very complex, okay, it makes sense. If imagine that you are scoring the criteria 2, but is missing something in the decision tree that you get lost in the middle, just give this kind of feedback for us.
Okay, will do.
Okay.
So I'm okay with SCAD and Squid.
Okay.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I will prepare all the profile templates. I just start with the, for example, for Fusiliers, I think is the Carl that will work on that. Let me check. For example, I'm preparing here a template and the goal, I'm putting here the information at blue. So the information that you need to update is in the box. So if you want, you can use rec change and all the change, or imagine that something was added, or you can just, sorry. If you want to complete something, you just add like this, and for me it will be easy. What are the change? So the text that you need to edit are in the box at black. At blue, it's just the general guidance on the sections that we have in the templates. And here at the end, you can see the because probably for Philippines, you will score everything qualitative. You will not need the data sheet, but you will just use the spreadsheets, the templates, and mention that we'll score here less than 4, higher than 8. I don't believe it, but you can see. So, and you can put just a brief justification here. Imagine that here is higher than 6. So you just need to complete the scores, the values for each criteria, and a brief justification. And usually we have also the data notes section where we go to catch the information, things like that. And I will include not here, you can also include the sources, the news sources that you use. Usually we have like the Zoter program, but for this exercise is not needed. You just put here the link of the reference that you use. Imagine that you find a stock assessment or something. And I will include also a section to you here to give some feedback to the method, just to help you. Yeah, I don't know. For most of these are the data. Let me check. Not this one. Yeah, these are the data file that we have in the Fishsource backend to produce the scoring. But in this case, not showing everything here. Usually is another different. Let me close this one. Yeah. Imagine that we have the total landings, and here, for example, we have don't have like catch limits defined, so it's not possible to calculate quantitative scorings. So we use the qualitative scoring. And if you go to do it directly in data file, you could complete here, for example, 2022, 2023, and then we will complete here the scoring that we are suggesting and the justification. But to be simple, I think that is best you do it in the template in that I show you in the Word document, you can put here. But you can copy, for example, these landings if you need it, and if you want, if it is easy to complete the most recent data, that will be nice. If not, you can copy this information and then to apply in the spreadsheets that we have to support the calculation of the scores. Just, yeah, that spreadsheets that I will share with you. I can show you here in more detail. For example, you just, I don't know if you can see well, if you can, yeah, you just need to choose if it is like a no TSC long-lived species, TSC long-lived, no TAC short-lived, or TAC long-lived. Yeah, but here in the top you can see if it is TAC short-lived, no TAC short-lived. So because these decision tables are different for each type of species, so you just need to update this with your data, the time series, and all of these will be changed automatically because we have formulas. Please don't change the formulas. You don't need, and then this will be updated automatically. So I understand that it seems too much information at the beginning, but I hope when you start be more easy. Well, you can send me an email if you have, or ping me on Skype tomorrow or Thursday if you have any questions, and we can discuss further in Friday. But if you can send me at the end of your day, Thursday, your feedback, then I can prepare better our discussion for Friday morning.
Okay.
Okay. Stop. Stop share. Okay. Any other questions for now, or you just need to digest everything? Maybe I can send also the presentation from today. Maybe it can help you a little bit. Okay.
Criteria 4 and 5 is quite intimidating, Patricia.
Yeah, it's quite different from the one that we had.
Yes.
But at the end, if you don't have like length frequency data, you just use the spreadsheets to put the catch data and the year and the catch data, and then the score will be calculated automatically. All the analysis that we did it, don't worry, it's just okay, it's paper thing, and just at the end we have a way to justify how the decision trees were all the rules of, okay, it's less than 4 because the probability to get this information is more or less. So it's more scientific, that part, but don't worry. Yeah, we put that on guidance, but it was supposed to be more in the annex. But you just need to focus more in the landings time series and put in the spreadsheet, support the spreadsheet. And everything will be calculated automatically. If you want to dig on the analysis,
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, if you have very difficulties, maybe we need to change the approach to present this information, because the goal is not to give you too much information, or you don't need to know a lot of statistic or something to perform this. It's just to be simple. All the background on the analysis will be provided in a scientific way or in the paper or something, just to justify our decision tree, but not the goal. Yeah. Yeah. Our consultant that help us to develop this, he always says, you overestimate the analyst, but I'm always saying that because they are not doing stock assessment, they are not supposed to do stock assessment. They are doing just applying the information available to produce some information.
Yeah.
So it's quite different. So I think at the end will be easy for you. Let's see. If not, we need to change
We'll
it.
see. We'll see tomorrow.
Yeah, and because you did the first version, maybe you can also provide, well, it was more useful or not, because the issue with the first version is because the text that we put, okay, if you see a decrease in the catch in the last 3 years or something, 25, the thresholds that we put there, it was like intuitive. They were not validated. And the goal with this analysis that we did with the Fishsource database is try to provide these thresholds more validated.
Yeah. Okay. So in case the rest of you guys are wondering where the data was coming from for the time series data, that's basically from the OpenStat.
Yeah.
OpenStat fisheries statistics.
Yeah.
So just basic landing. It's not from. We never got information from NSAP.
Yeah.
So that line there.
Yeah, for the scoring, you just need this total landings, not because here we split between commercial and municipal. Maybe for the scoring, we just need the total landings. And if you click in the cell, you can see the comments and the source of the data. If you get more updated information or from another source, now I don't know if there is like an annual report or something that compiles everything, you can use it. But if you're not, you can use this link to try to find more updated information. Yeah, and just let me know. Any questions? You can send me an email or an email general to the group or just to me. And yeah, I'll try to prepare all the templates to send you today.
Okay. So same time on Friday?
Yeah, I put I think it's 7 p.m. for you.
Okay.
Is it, well, it's too late for a Friday, but maybe it will be just less than 2 hours or something. Let's see.
We'll see.
Okay. So, any other questions or comments? Jerry, if you have any, no?
By the way, Patricia, will you also send the Zoom recording so that in case we want to review the presentation as we digest the information you shared?
Okay, yeah,
Will be helpful.
I can try to, because this go to the cloud, and I need to ask our IT to send me the link, and I can provide you also this record presentation. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll stop recording when we finalize. So, thank you so much. Have a nice week, and hope everything went well.
Okay, nice meeting you again, and nice meeting you guys for the first time. See you.
Nice to
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.